Her output is created by post-processing several WARMF output files to determine the sources of flow and loading at the downstream end of a river reach for each day of the simulation. The list of parameters for which Her output is available is determined by the parameters selected in the Setup tab. Click on a parameter on the left to view the Her output for that parameter. The colored portions of the graph represent each of the listed loading sources on the right. The sources tabulated by the Her output include all the river tributary inflows and inflows from catchments, point sources, and agricultural drains between the upstream and downstream ends of the river reach specified under the Setup tab. The thick, solid black line illustrated in the graph is the total loading at the downstream end of the river reach being analyzed. The sum of the individual loading sources in the Her output should be approximately equal to the total loading shown by the thick black line. A small amount of error, less than 5%, is typical. The error is present because, in the initial part of the simulation, the Her output cannot account for all the sources because of the travel time required for some sources to reach the downstream end of the reach. A red dashed line shows the assimilative capacity if there is a water quality criterion for the selected parameter at the downstream end of the reach. If the total load is less than the assimilative capacity, then loading to the river could be increased without violating the water quality criterion. If the loading exceeds the assimilative capacity, the magnitude of each of the loading sources provides guidance on where loading reductions might be effective at improving the water quality to meet the criterion. As with the graphs presented in the other output tabs, you can zoom in on a selected portion of the graph by positioning your mouse pointer in the upper left corner of the area of interest, holding the Shift key down, and dragging a box that defines the area of interest using your left mouse button. When the bounding rectangle represents the area of interest, release the left mouse button. You can zoom back out to the full extent of the graph by pressing the R key on your keyboard. Exporting the simulation results to a text file can sometimes be useful if you wish to conduct further analysis on the data, create different types of charts for a presentation or report, or compare data from multiple locations. Click the Export button to save the Her output to a text file.